Us, everybody, it's MaxClawson, and yeah, I know it's been what, two weeks, almost three. Man, I suck at uploading, but I do me. But yeah, it's been a while since I've uploaded another video. I apologize for that. My reasoning is because just at times I'm in a Yu-Gi-Oh mood when I want to go to my locals, but then I just can't because my ride can't make it. And then there are just some days when the Yu-Gi-Oh mood's just not there, and I don't want to be bothered with trying to think of things when the format's just always just somewhere or whatever. But I am here with you guys because if you haven't noticed from the thumbnail, this is probably one of the strongest fusion decks that I have ever got my paws on. So that is our good old boys, Chimera branded. Now this deck, as I was testing, and full disclaimer, I was misplaying and illegally doing things, but that's why we play test, to learn our cards. So this deck was playing it against my boy Kamon, and it can get so resource heavy, so fast and so crazy, it's ridiculous. So there were times I didn't even have to summon a certain fusion monster that we'll go into later, because my board was already fully established. Like, I had the good board, a back row hand, and just at that point it's just like, okay, good luck. So without further ado, we're going to get into the main extra, and I do have a side deck because I want this deck to be seen in full force by you guys. So let's jump into this. For starters, as I was researching this deck, I do know that you play 2 Big Wing Berthamet. He is a very important monster, but you don't want to see him all the time because, as you see his levels, he is the original Berthamet by keeping it staying level in stats. You have the 3 Mirror Sword Knight, the 3 Gazelle, King of Mythical Claws, and we have the 3 Cornfield Quaddle, or Quaddle, whatever, however you say the thing. So these are your illusion monsters, along with the Chimera Fusion. So this is your illusion package. It's nothing more, nothing less. There are times when you can just main deck 2 Chimera Fusions, because getting to it is not a problem at all with any of these four monsters. So I may do that in the future because there is one other illusion monster I do want to play. So, getting into the effects. Berthamet on summon adds you both Gazelle and this. And while in testing, I did make the right call, but I just wasn't sure. But when you summon this, you can get both of these cards, or just one of them if you don't have the other in the deck. And when it uses fusion material, it can reborn one of your illusion monsters from the graveyard. That being our boy Mirror Sword Knight. So his effect is a quickie on both players' turn. You contribute him to summon one of your illusion monsters that specifically lists Chimera Fusion, I believe. They all have that kind of restriction. And that his summon of choice would be this. So, full disclaimer for those who don't already know this deck, if you're playing against this deck, which will always be usually with Branded, you'll have 2 cards that you'll want to try and ash, this or Branded Fusion, and you got to make the hard choice. It's like, alright, do I let Mirror Sword Knight resolve, or do I try and wait for Branded Fusion? Because you can only ash one thing. So in my personal opinion, if they summon this, you do ash that, or if whichever comes first. If we have both, then we have both. You just weren't gonna win that game regardless. So it's really good. You always max this out, not 2, not 1, 3, because you want to see it. Then you got the boy Gazelle, the Mythical Claws. He's about to put the paws on you. On summon, you can add a level 5 or a higher Fiend monster. Is it a higher or a regular Fiend? Yeah, it's a level 5 Fiend. So you can only search out Berthamet, which is kind of sad, but whatever. So he'll search out Berthamet, and his other effect is if it's used for a fusion material, you can add an illusion monster from your deck to your hand. which brings us to Cornfield Caudal. You can discard this card to search out any illusion monster that specifically lists Chimera Fusion on it. So you'll pitch this to go into this, normal summon this, use this effect, summon this, activate, get both of these, which this is bread and butter combo. Like, you see this, you have literally all of these. Like, starter, it's ridiculous how all of these go into each other so easily. And before I forget, both of these have a graveyard effect, so good thing that I remembered that. So while you control Chimera, the king of mythical beasts, which the fusion is always treated as, you can activate their effects. If your opponent activates an effect, banish this card to negate it. And if your opponent targets a card on the field, banish this card, negate that, and destroy it. So it's really, really insane how they have even more usage from the graveyard. But that is our Chimera, or rather our illusion engine. And now let's go into our branded engine. So we're going to be running off the 2 Fallen of Albaz, the 1 Spriggan's Kit, the 1 Mercurier, the 3 Branded Fusion, the Branded Loss, Branded in White, Branded in Red, Branded in White, you know, spoilers, the Branded Beast, and Branded Retribution. So this is the branded lineup of cards that I played, because these are all the important ones. Fallen of Albaz is Fallen of Albaz, used for literally the massive majority of your extra deck, and it does have an on-field pseudo super poly effect by discarding a card. Spriggan's Kit, which can be searched off with your Branded Loss, or Berthomet, which I forgot to mention. You can search a beast monster, level 4. So she's actually able to be searched off for something that's not even in her archetype, but it helps. And Kit's own effect: if you control a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz, you can summon it to your field. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can add to your hand one of your branded spell or traps that is in your graveyard or banished. So get back your branded fusion, your trap cards, any of these, just recursion. Mercurier is, you know, it does have another effect likely, but the only effect we're using it for is to negate our opponent's card effect should we have a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as material on the field. Branded Fusion is Branded Fusion using our deck. Branded Loss, so our opponent cannot respond to our effects that fusion summons. So if you have this and you summon Albaz that is indeed super poly, they can only stop this because this is an effect to fusion summon, not the I mean, it's a weird, I don't really understand it, but the opponent can stop this with Ash, which is annoying even if this is on the field, but it's whatever. But when you fusion summon, you can add Fallen of Albaz or any monster that mentions it, so you can add these two, or is it any card? Yeah, it's a monster, not that busted. So yeah, add either of these two, which you're usually going to search Mercurier because you can search Kit with Berthomet. Then we have our Branded Red, or basically get this back and fusion summon by banishing materials. Our searchable Miracle Fusion, and should you use Fallen of Albaz for the fusion summon with this card's effect, you can add this card right back to your hand, so it's really insane. Branded Beast to just pop stuff while we have a Bestial on the field, and we can set one of our continuous branded spell or trap cards spells back to our field, or so we can get back our loss if they happen to pop it, which most players do know to pop Branded Loss. And Retribution, just because, you know, this is a fusion based branded deck. Shuffle back any of, while you control your fusion monsters, and the opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect that includes summoning a monsters, you can return to the extra deck a face-up fusion monster or 2 fusion monsters in your graveyard that lists Fallen of Albaz. And should you do that, negate that effect and destroy it. And it does have a grave effect, which, let's read it all together. If we can focus, yeah. You can also banish this card from your graveyard and target a branded spell and trap in your grave, except itself, add it back to your hand. So a lot of this is just very recurable. except for the the only one really recoverable is Fallen of Albaz with our fusions, but you know, that's there. So that is our branded lineup of cards. That is indeed the Chimera, Illusion branded side of the deck. And now we'll go into the rest of the deck that I decided to play to help us win in the meta. So, the rest of our deck choice would in fact consist of 2 Nibiru, 1 Bestial Lubellium, because he does tie into the branded lore in some way. You can tribute a level 6 or lower dragon, so you'll be tributing your level 6 or higher dragon, so you tribute off your fusions to summon them, and then you can place a branded spell or trap face up on your field. I have decided to try taking in the 2 Radiant, because this will help get over problematic monsters that are just unaffected by everything, so we need to just get over it. Here you go. Plus, it's also a fiend, so I can fusion summon with it. I do still play our 1 win condition, the Dark Magician, and the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. Gotta flex off the 25th anniversary version of it. I would like the Ghost Rare version, but you know that we don't have it. We do have the 2 Ash Blossom and the 2 Droll and Lockbird to keep our opponent from touching the deck, and if they touch the deck, we'll lock them out of doing so for the rest of the turn. And for the reason you see the 2 of basically Nibiru, Ash, and Drolls, because 3 cross out, and the honorary 4th one. Just stop. If your opponent tries to Ash us, just know if they do Droll us, it does slow us down, so you do want to hit them with this, and you want to save this for if the opponent tries to go like ID Shifter. No. I want my graveyard. Get out of here. So, this is for D Shifter, this is for these, and this, because even if they do have this, we can negate its effect with Mirror Sword Knight, because I believe you can only use the effect, but we negated the effect, so they can't use it again. And you know, I figured that's pretty busted. That is the main deck. That is a solid 40 cards, a really amazing lineup of cards in my own personal opinion. Now we go into the extra deck where, you know, the magic happens. Starting off from high to low, we'd have the Guardian Chimera. I would play 2, but I do not own 2, and trying to get another one would take a lot of money, probably in the like 40s or 50s the last time. I don't know when I checked it, but that also brings the question, if you guys want to start seeing me open up boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, maybe 1 or 2 if I'm feeling like splurging, and you guys want to see me react to what I pull, because you know, buying singles does help, but it does take a while, which is another reason these videos take a while to come out. That, or hoping somebody at my locals does have these cards that I want to get. The card that we would put in for Guardian Chimera, but we don't. We have Chimera, the Illusion Beast. I am not entirely sure what this guy does myself, because I've never summoned him. Somebody had it, I decided to get it because, you know, why not? It's another monster for the Chimera deck. So what do you do, my friend? He also becomes Chimera while on the field or graveyard. He can attack monsters up to the battle phase number of materials, so you can attack twice. And if it battles a monster, they have that same clause where they can't be neither destroyed by the battle and at the damage step. This battle an opponent's monster, you can change that to so basically just make your opponent attack, you don't die, but you will be 0, and you will be 0. You will have no effect. So it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting monster now that I read it. So I do suggest you try and play it, check it in, because you know Branded in White can summon this because it's just another fusion spell. Next up, we do have our boy, the boss monster of the deck, 2 Mirror Jade. Send a monster from your extra deck that lists Fallen of Albaz as material. Banish a face-up monster on the field. We do have the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and this is obviously the card that I was talking about, because in testing, because my board was so insane and like I had ways to just stop my opponent from doing stuff. I didn't even have to go into this card. Like, the way I see it, you can take out Red Eyes, Dark Dragoon, and the Dark Magician all together if you want to. But for the mid to late game, if it gets to that point, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has now become a turn 1 win or lose kind of thing. Mid to late game, summoning this against your opponent when you know they can't out it at all or easily is just insane, because he can't be targeted, can't be destroyed by either player, can't be destroyed by effects, and once per turn he can pop a card on the field up to the number of normal monsters used for his summon. So that's 1, you can burn your opponent, and he has the Red Eye, the Dark Paladin effect to discard a card, negate a card, and if he does that, he gains 1500 permanently. Or it's a 1500 or 1000. Yeah, 1000 attack permanently. So 1500 is not the best. I thought it was got it confused with the BLS monster, but you know, 1000 attack permanent gain is just kinda nuts. Next, we run the Magnum, the Reliever, just to get, because this card is easy to summon. You fusion summon, or your opponent has something summoned from the extra deck, which is likely. You can summon this by using a monster summoned from the extra deck this turn or the previous turn, and his other effect is that you can target a fusion spell card or a polymerization spell in your graveyard, place it on the bottom of your deck, draw a card, or when another card or its effect is activated, you can banish a polymerization or spell or a fusion spell from the grave, target a card on the field, destroy it. Well, that's pretty nice, pretty good interruption card. So from what I've seen, there are times when you can summon this, but there's also times when your board's already so good that you don't really need to. But he's also another one of those cards just to actually dodge things like Imperm or Veiler. So, you know, I guess that's the reason why decks play him. Plus, it's easy to summon out. Another monster we still keeping here is our Predaplant Dracostapelia. Super easy to make in this deck, just requires a fusion and a dark monster. Place a Predator counter on your opponent's monster. It becomes if it's level 2 or higher, it becomes 1, and its effects are negated while this card is face up on the field, I believe. It doesn't really say that, so you guys let me know in the comments below, because I do love Predaplants. I will be making a Predaplant deck update for you guys in the future. So do let me know if this card itself has to remain on the field for the effect negation, or if it just gets the counter, it's negated. So I'm pretty sure if it just gets the counter, it's negated. Next, we have our Searing Dragon Lubellion. Just fusion summon by pitching a card and shuffle them back from the grave, field, or banish. So this is how you get himself and your Fallen of Valdez back. We have the 2 Albion, who gets us our branded spell and trap cards back at the end of the turn. And he fusion summons by banishing materials from the hand, field, or graveyard. We have the Rinbrum, just for the Striking Dragon. He has an effect, but you know, it's never really up there how he uses it, or just ever comes up at times. Maybe it does, it doesn't. The most important card, our Chimera, what you want to have on the field immediately. Because this card, as it's stated, this and its upgraded form, always treat it as the OG Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast. And during the end phase, the turn this card was fusion summoned, you can pitch a card, a random card from your opponent's hand. So they start off with 1 less card. And during the opponent's turn, you contribute this card, and it summons. You can tribute this card, target a beast, fiend, or illusion in your graveyard and summon it, so it helps get all your other materials or monsters of that same typing. Next up, we do run the 1 Garura and the 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, simply because I do side in the Super Poly, and you know, Fallen of Albaz is another way I believe I can get into these things, but you know, they are here because I do have Super Poly in the side. That's it for the extra deck, and now to go into the side deck. So don't judge me too hard on this one card I'm about to show you for the side deck, because I would main deck it, but the deck space is already tight enough. And that is 2 Bestial Juris Worm. You can main this if you want by taking out 2 other cards, be it the Dark Magician and something else, and then you just take out Dark Dragoon from the extra deck. But you know, 2 Bestial Juris Worm. This is literally the best Bestial outside of Magnum Up, but Magnum Up got hit with a limited stick. So right now he's the best one, because this format everything is special summon except you have up against Flunderies. If it leaves the field, send a special summon monster to the graveyard so it gets over destruction. Next up, for the back row hate, we have the 1 Harpies and the 3 Cosmic. The 3 Super Poly, as I mentioned, helps with the fusion deck. And for our other crossout targets, we do have the 3 Evenly Matched and the 3 Dimensional Barrier. Just because it'll be heartbreaking when our opponent does say standby phase, activates D barrier, call fusion. If you got the crossout, that's what you gotta hit. So hopefully they don't got the Ash or Droll. So yeah. Yeah, just getting hit with that sucks, bruh. Like, cause you know, we used to play a Link monster, but he got banned, and now the entirety of this extra deck is all purple. But that is going to do it for my Chimera branded deck profile. I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like my choices? Would you change out for anything else, anything different? If so, let me know what, and I might bring that into consideration when I update this deck or change it into something else entirely. One monster I have wanted to try running is, and I'm going to spoil it now, is this excuse me, this handsome boy, Nightmare Magician, because his effect isn't actually that bad. It'll force your opponent to just try and waste a negate on it, because after this thing battles at the end of the damage step, I take control of it, and if another monster battles, I can destroy a card on the field. So another way of getting rid of stuff. So this is a very neat card. I do suggest other Chimera Illusionist players use this card and look into it, because don't sleep on this, because this may be just like a few dollars now, but with the right setup, this card could easily be like a $10 card, because it's not bad. Like, it'll force your opponent to like Baron negated, Dissipator negated, or Impermanent, whatever, so have you. So I really think that card is underrated and should be looked more into. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about it. And yeah, again, let me know if you guys want to start seeing me open up some boxes on this channel. I did do it one time before and never again, and that was all the way back in Invasion of Vengeance when we got Swamp Frog. Shout outs if you have seen that card, that opening video. But yeah, so I apologize again for taking so long to bring another video to you guys. Like I said, these kind of things take time and you have to be in the right mood. But that's enough rambling for me. If you enjoyed this, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to see more videos from me, and you know, share this with your friends, your other people that like fusion summoning, your friends that may own the Chimera stuff, and get more feedback, get the community growing. And thank you all for supporting me on my other videos, leaving comments and all that. Really do appreciate it. And without further ado, I will see you guys in my next video.